Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the heck I want. And we're joined by my brother Ethan, Wee Man, and my friend Dave, as we're going to talk some baseball. And it's about mid-season. We're coming up on the All-Star break, so it's time to reassess this insane, crazy season. Will the Phillies make a miraculous comeback like they did last year, which they seem to be in the middle of? Will the Diamondbacks hold on with the skin of their teeth and not collapse as it looks like they might be? But we're going to get there. But to get things started, we're going to do kind of division by division. We're going to talk a little bit about the wild cards and then predict the 14 teams to make the playoffs and then talk about some award predictions and, any other things at the end that we want to throw in there. So let's start with the AL East, the division that every single team has at least a 511 winning percentage, which is insane. I got to witness the last place Boston Red Sox play in person last week when I was in Boston. They almost got a no-hitter and then lost to the Marlins. But somehow they're still 45 and 43. So, Ethan, what are your thoughts on the AL East and who do you think's going to win?
I would have said boo San Francisco Giants. Uncle Shane liked that one. I would love to say the Phillies.
We're talking about the AL East.
Oh, you said AL East? My bad.
Yes. So just insert Orioles.
Insert Orioles because Tampa Bay just showed that they were human and got swept for the first time this year by who beat Tampa Bay?
Who? The Phillies.
Yeah.
No, it shouldn't come out.
So you never,
Yeah, Diamondbacks just got swept by the Mets.
That's unfortunate.
The Mets are like, well, we did terrible in June. Let's start by winning every single game in July. See if that continues. So it is very interesting because Tampa was extremely dominating this division. Things are getting tighter. As of recording, the Orioles are 4 games back. We are recording this the weekend going into the All-Star break. So just to give you a little bit of sense, things could be crazy by the time this actually posts. But so there's a couple months left. You could easily catch up on 4 games.
And they seriously handled the Yankees yesterday.
The Yankees look like crap without Judge.
You not want the Yankees to win.
Correct. Boo Yankees.
We all thought that the Judge won that battle with the wall, but as it turned out, the wall got his toe.
What does this Yankees look like?
The Yankees look like the Yankees. They look. You know the stuff you throw trash in. Trash can. That's what the Yankees look like.
Wow. To all of our Yankees fans out there, that was brutally honest. And that's coming from a 5-year-old. So, the question is, will Boston finish ahead of every single team in the AL Central?
Yes.
Definitely.
Terrible. Dave, what are your thoughts on the AL East?
Well, even though the Phillies did just sweep Tampa Bay, I still think they're the favorite for that division. I know, like, at the beginning of the season, I think we all agreed that somehow Tampa Bay always manages to find a way into the postseason. And at that time, I would have thought in the form of a wild card, but, even though they just didn't look so good against us, I still think they're a pretty great team. They have some big name players, on both offense and the pitching. So I think they have a lot of depth. So even though they hit that bit of a cold spot, I think, even just looking at the records of the other teams in the division right now and how they've been playing lately, it doesn't look like any other team is playing like significantly better to the point that they're going to like rocket past them in the standings.
Mhm.
So at least for now, I still think that they have a strong shot at it.
I feel bad for Boston because it's like you're a winning team and you're literally in last place in your division. And I think they're going to get the wrong message that they're like, we can compete. No, sell. You're in last place. And that's probably where we're going to wind up. The Yankees, I know they just got Rodon back today. And he pitched like 5 innings and gave up 2 runs, and they look like they're gonna lose. But like without Judge, I don't think the Yankees are very viable to do what they need to do. And they're lucky that Toronto has also been underachieving
like they have been for
3 years. It's really sad the amount of talent. Well, that's the thing. They have a lot of young talent that just hasn't clicked yet. I feel like they're a little bit different than the Padres since they bought their team and have a ridiculous amount of talent and just aren't doing anything, or the Mets. I think the Toronto Blue Jays maybe soon will actually start really clicking, but as of right now, it's just not happening.
they don't have
And
We don't want the Blue Jays to win.
I do think that Tampa's going to hold on, but I think Baltimore is going to make it really close. So Baltimore is definitely getting one of those wild card spots because they are a young team and they're clicking like you would think Toronto would be clicking, but they're not. But Baltimore's doing really well. They absolutely decimated the Yankees and got me negative 20 points on my fantasy team because Severino just pitched like trash. But speaking of trash, we have the AL Central. So first place Minnesota Twins, same record as the last place Boston Red Sox, 45-43. So they have a 511 winning percentage. Cleveland Guardians are 44-44, 500 and a game out. And Detroit's only 6 games out of first place in their division. And Chicago has dropped to 8.5 games out, and then Kansas City's just 25-64 and just terrible. And they're so bad that they're 20 games out of first place in that division.
Yeah,
which is really sad. So who's winning the war of attrition here of the trash teams? Dave, go first.
I'm gonna still stick with the Guardians. I mean, at this point, I feel like it's just a toss-up between them and the Twins, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt since they got in last season. And I feel like they're a team that's not been living up to their full potential necessarily. I mean, it's not like I would expect them to have like run away with the division, but I don't know. I feel like even though the Twins have a bit of a lead right now, I still feel like,
1 game.
yeah, there's enough time left in the season that I feel like the Guardians are going to play closer to their potential. So I think down the line, they're going to take back that lead.
Well, they already made a comeback and took the lead and then lost the lead, but they're basically right there, and there's 3 months left in the season.
Yeah.
Ethan, what are you thinking?
Going with the Twins.
I feel like neither of those teams could be the wrong answer, seeing as they're equally not playing great, but they're equally playing better than the whole rest of their division. I would love to see the Tigers because they've been overachieving. Wee Man does not agree. Thumbs down. Thumbs down on the Tigers. They're playing a lot better than they should be. And I think it would be crazy if they made a comeback, but I think it's going to come down. I think Cleveland's going to do what they did last year, squeak by and then win the division. Maybe look a little bit better in the playoffs because if I'm not mistaken, they have like the least amount of home runs in Major League Baseball, which is really weird. So overall, if how the playoffs should be, nobody in this division should make the playoffs. I know I'm of thought that, like, sure, get a division title. If you're not one of the 7 best teams in your league, you shouldn't make the playoffs, especially with that division. Now let's talk about the very interesting AL West. So obviously we have Oakland at 25-64, who are 26 and a half games out of first place, and sad looking. They went on a tear there, though. It's the only reason why they're even over 20 wins. Seattle is 7 out at 500, and the Angels are 1 game above 500 at 6.5 games out of first place. So they actually dropped off a bit recently. And then we have Houston, who my stupid phone keeps loading and changing where I'm trying to look at. There we go. Houston is 2 games out of first place, and the Texas Rangers, 51-37, are in first place. So, Ethan, what are your thoughts on this division and who's going to win?
Houston.
So, you think Texas is going to fall off and Houston's going to roar back and take it?
Yeah, I don't see, like, as incredible as they're playing, and stop it. The how I'm pretty sure everybody is surprised about how they're performing this year. At this juncture, it's like halfway through the season, and Houston's only 2 games out, even though Texas started out of the gate really hot. So
Well, Houston was in like 4th place at one point. So, like, they've definitely roared back and started looking like heat.
and they lost to Grom for a year and a half. So they don't have that tool anymore.
They had DeGrom for like 25 innings.
Yeah.
So
it's, I know, even though Evaldi's doing incredible.
Might be talking about him later.
Yeah. I still don't. I'll still go with the obvious and Houston, especially since they're only 2 games out. It looked pretty meek at the beginning of the season for a while, but
And then they got Altuve back.
It just shows what Houston can do. So it's unfortunate.
Hey, thoughts?
I'm gonna agree with Ethan on this one. Like, to be fair, you got to give the Rangers a ton of credit. I think in the offseason, we saw them making these moves and we were like, why? Like, they're still going to be terrible. And we were very wrong about that.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't like half the all-star roster Texas players?
Well, yeah, basically half the all-star roster for the AL is the Rangers and half of it's the Braves for the NL.
The starting catcher's BS is all I'm going to say.
For the AL?
Yep.
Who should it be?
Adley Rutschman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, the all-star voting's a joke.
It is.
So, like, Bryce Harper almost got voted in for the all-star game.
And he didn't get voted in.
That's crap. Like, we
can talk all day about this.
I don't think he would have got a starting position, but, like, he did wind up on the roster. He definitely should have got more votes than Harrison. That was a joke. And Gurriel. But he didn't make it. I also saw Geraldo Perdomo just made the all-star team as a replacement. I'm just like, wait, what?
Wow.
So Diamondbacks have 3 all-stars.
Nice.
How did Merrill Kelly not make the all-star team? Were they just like, oh, he's injured anyway, so we're not going to pick him? But that's a whole other thing. I'm probably going to agree. I did say Houston was going to win this division. And they're definitely coming back. They're playing a lot. Texas has dropped off a lot. I think they're like 10-15 in their last 25 games. Here's the big question. Do the Angels sell?
they're too. The issue here is they don't make good decisions ever,
Mhm.
and I don't. I think they're gonna try and see if they can get through it, but I don't think that's going to happen with what the news that we got with
Route.
Trout, Randone. He's out too, I believe, but he's
Oh
been
yeah,
out
he is.
out there.
And then Otani had a blister.
Yeah, I mean that's not a big deal,
No.
but he's still hitting. But yeah, I
They
think they're going to be really dumb and not get their money's worth for Shohei, even though it's really hard to get your money's worth for Otani.
well, and he's gonna walk, so they're not gonna get anything for him. So it's I know they're around 500 and they're still in it. They're not making the playoffs. Look at the AL East. Like
They can though.
they can, but we'll
No,
get
never mind,
to.
because you have to get
Well, actually,
division leader. You have to have a division leader, even if they suck, into the playoffs. But
mhm. We'll get to the wild cards. Let's finish the divisions. Now to the NL East. Look, so we got the Nationals, who are 25 games out, but are actually like 10 games better than the Athletics and the Royals, yet are still the same games out of their division, because Atlanta is ridiculous. The Mets are 41 and 46, 18 games out of first place. The Phillies are 48 and 39 and 11 games out. Is it possible to be any hotter than the Phillies? Yeah, apparently the Braves. That's the most unlucky strip of like going really hot.
it's them and the Braves have had the best record since June 2nd or something like that. But when you start off and you're already behind,
Mm-hmm.
and you basically have the same record as the team in front of you,
It's 11 games out of first place, but the Phillies are creeping up on second because Miami is 51 and 39. So if the Phillies sweep this series, they overtake the Marlins. And then the Braves are 59 and 28. So realistically, they're probably going to win another game against Tampa this weekend. So they're going to go in the All-Star break with 60 wins. Dave, what are your thoughts on this division and who's winning it?
Well, much as I don't like to say it, I think Atlanta that's pretty much just running away with it because as well as the Phillies are playing, somehow Atlanta's playing better. And I feel like Atlanta tends to be more sustainable when they have a hot streak, whereas the Phillies, more likely than not, at some point are going to have another cold spell, just knowing how they operate. But that being said, I feel like the Phillies are still absolutely a playoff team with the way they're playing now. It's just I don't see anything happening where the Phillies sustain a hot streak and Atlanta goes on such a cold streak that we can pass them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ethan.
all right. So who's going to win the division? The Nationals, the Mets, the Marlins, the Braves, or the Phillies?
Phillies.
You heard it here first.
There we have it. Wee Man says on July 7th, 2023, Phillies are winning this division. Braves are going to have a Mets level collapse.
I was going to say that. I was like, barring a Mets collapse, like, it's going to be it. No, it's not happening. It's just incredibly difficult to be how you make up 11 and a half games on a team that's doesn't lose.
Now, the Braves are too good. Like, they're not even like an overachieving team that might blow the lead like the Diamondbacks. The Braves are a ridiculously talented team, and they're doing that with Strider, who has like a 4 ERA right now. And they're missing some of the really talented pitchers. Like Fried and Soroka aren't even pitching, right?
I don't think Max Fried has really pitched this year.
Yeah. So it's insane. I do think the Marlins are going to cool off a lot down the stretch. I think the Phillies are going to keep pushing. Side question, do the Mets improve?
If you ever see the Tigers hit a home run, just say boo.
You heard it here. A lot of Yankee shade and Detroit Tigers shade here on Wasteland Talks.
I don't know where that one comes from. I think it was because we had a miscommunication on a Jaguars jersey.
Mm.
You want to go down? You want to say bye to everybody?
Bye.
Bye, wee man.
Bye.
Phillies.
Go
You
Phillies.
shall return at some point on the Wasteland Reviewer YouTube channel.
Love you, buddy.
Maybe when he's older.
Here, bud. Here's
Because
your
10
Later.
years later, when he's 15, I'll still be this.
down with it. None of our players that we grew up watching or will be playing anymore. But
Now, I just did another video about the rule changes and stuff like that, and I was talking about how starting pitchers throw 5 innings. I want 50-year-old Jamie Moyer throwing 78 miles an hour and still throwing 7 innings a game.
people won't know what to do with a 78-mile-an-hour fastball.
It's
Because they're
like-
used to 105-mile-an-hour cheese.
It's just Doc from Major Leagues back to the minors.
Oh my god, that was a severely underrated movie.
Scott Bakula of Quantum Leap fame. We still got Taka Tanaka and Pedro Serrano in that one. And Rube, the backup catcher from the second one. Who he likes to read the articles. So Braves all around. The NL Central, probably one of the most interesting ones to talk about. Quick side note, fire sale, yay or nay on the Cardinals?
Yes.
And who's getting Paul Goldschmidt?
I want to say the Phillies.
I
But
saw
I think they're
rumors going around.
I think they're going to give, but they didn't know when Derek Hall was coming back.
So
And they need to give him a chance. It's going to be hard. I don't know, because they're not going to re-sign. It's highly unlikely, in my opinion, that they re-signed Hoskins, especially like they did the re-signing for him, the $10 million for this year. He's out. I don't think they're going to re-sign him again, especially the severity of that injury. And he already wasn't mobile enough at first base. But that would be
stone hands.
It would make the most sense for the Phillies to get
I guess
Goldschmidt.
we'll have to see how Derek Hall plays the month of July.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice his first game back. He hits a freaking nuke to right center field. But
Dave, do they trade Paul Goldschmidt?
I think the Cardinals are going to sell. I'm still not convinced the Phillies are going to move on Hoskins, and I only say that because I feel like because he got injured, it gives them leverage to bring him back on a 1-year team-friendly deal since his value is going to be down.
good point.
Yeah, he's definitely not getting a good contract from
He's not getting $10 million.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that thinks maybe they won't. But at the same time, the way the Phillies front office operates, they're not afraid to do anything if it means it's going to improve their chances to win right now. So
Yeah, because here's the issue. Paul Goldschmidt's way too good of a first baseman to throw at DH. So, you have to go to an actual team that needs a first baseman.
Yeah.
And, the NL, it's not the Marlins' MO to buy big. So, they get Solar. They get,
Yeah,
small.
Soler, where it's like a $45 million deal or something like that.
They do small stuff. They're not trading for Goldschmidt. Braves have Olsen. Wouldn't make sense.
Definitely not.
Milwaukee, I don't think's gonna buy. They didn't last year either. Cincinnati has Votto. And even if he's not putting up big numbers, he's too much a part of their.
I don't know if he's going to be there next year. Who knows? This is the last year.
Well, I think it would be a bad look for them. Like Votto's like the player of this generation of the Reds. Like I don't think they would do that. Wouldn't put it past the Dodgers. Well, they have Freddie Freeman. Never mind. Giants? Maybe. God, I'd be so mad if he winds up on the Giants.
That's right. He goes to the Giants and re-signs with the Diamondbacks.
No, they can't afford him. And they got Christian Walker too, as long as they can afford him. At least he bats 250, so he's not going to be as expensive as Paul Goldschmidt. I'm trying to see, like, Houston, that Abreu thing turned out like crap. But I think Goldschmidt's going. They have Arenado for longer, so I don't know if they should really just wipe the slate. And
if they trade Arenado, that would be really good for them because he's under club control for years, and
they could get a ton.
They can get a killing.
Yep. Well, let's see. We have the Pirates, who looked really great and then collapsed, who were 8.5 games out. The Cubs passed them. I feel like the Cubs are still underachieving, but they're still in striking distance, but I don't think it's going to come down to them. Then we have Milwaukee at 47-41, 2 games out, and the Cincinnati Reds, 49-39 in first place. How do you beat a guy who can outrun a first baseman at first base?
And throw 100 and what miles per hour from third base to first base and hit 455-foot home runs? I don't freaking know.
So, Dave, who's winning this division?
Oh, I never thought I'd say it at the beginning of the year, considering how last season was, but Cincinnati. I am buying into the hype. I think they're legit.
They have the Orioles, they have a lot of young talent and they're clicking. They even got Joey Votto showing life. Comes back and hits a home run and is getting back.
But he's rooming with Ellie De La Cruz.
Is he really?
Apparently, that's what his interview he was saying. Yeah, we're gonna play PlayStation till 7:00 in the morning. Like that. I don't know if he was joking, but
he's the first until 7:00 in the morning. Ethan, who's gonna win?
I think it's going to be a interesting last half of the season, and I feel like Milwaukee and the Reds are just going to kind of go back and forth with each other. But ultimately, like we were just talking about, the Reds do have a lot of young talent that haven't been in high pressure situations yet. I don't think they're going to sustain like what they're doing right now and what that 15 or something 11 12 game winning streak. I don't know how many of those are in them, but I still feel like Milwaukee's going to squeak it out at the end.
My thoughts are I don't think they're quite on the Padres level, but like something's wrong with the Brewers. Like, how do they keep having control of the division and then completely choking on it?
Well, your best player on your team hasn't been the same in 3 or 4 years.
Well, that's the thing. They don't even have a team that looks super, super, super impressive. Like, I know they have Burns and Woodruff, but like I don't think Milwaukee Brewers and think like a super great team. And I think the reason that they're as good as they are is they play in the NL Central.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't stand a chance really anywhere else.
No. And with the Cardinals playing like complete ass,
That
like
helps a lot.
because
This
I thought
was
the
their
Cardinals were
time.
winning this division.
Yeah, this was their time to destroy this is their time. Like how horrible and unprecedented of a season St. Louis is having. You would think they'd be in the driver's seat right now, but I still
Well,
feel like at the end they've been there before. So
Reds stole it for now. And the NL West. I wish we were having this conversation a week ago. A lot's changed in a week. Colorado Rockies 17 games out of first place at 33 and 55. So who are they going to next trade to a team and then pay for their whole entire contract? Chris Bryant, if anybody wants him.
Charlie Black.
Charlie Blackmon or McMahon, I think, has been their most consistent player. San Diego, 5 games under 500 and 8.5 games out of first place because they're a joke.
Truth.
They have so much talent. The San Francisco Giants, 47 and 40, are 2.5 games out of first place. And well, the Dodgers aren't even in first place at the moment at 49 and 38. They're a half game behind the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are 50 and 38, which is one of the biggest shocks this whole entire season. So, Ethan, thoughts on the NL West and who's going to win this division?
The Diamondbacks have been there long enough, and I don't see anybody else clicking. I don't care how much money the Padres paid. Kapler makes shitty decisions, so they're not going to get anywhere either. And the Dodgers, it's time to die.
They looked real bad against the Pirates as series. One thing to consider as well is Corbin Carroll had a really nasty shoulder thing happen yesterday.
That could be potentially really bad for the Diamondbacks on that swing, his shoulder.
That was ugly.
Yeah.
So if he's out for a sustainable amount of time, I'm really worried about the Diamondbacks. Dave.
As boring of a pick as it is, I'm still gonna go with the Dodgers. Only because it seems like they just always come out on top or close to it every year. And we know that they're not afraid to spend a ton of money.
That is true. They have that Magic Johnson money that they could go out and make big moves, which they do. They have to because they're starting pitching besides Clayton Kershaw.
Who's out?
Huh?
He's out.
Is he?
He's on the 15 day. I don't
He
even know
has like the 4th best ERA in baseball right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss them.
They had a rookie who was pitching really, really well too, but like they need help in the rotation. I think the Dodgers are going to wind up winning this division, but not by a lot. And if Corbin Carroll's not out long, I think the Diamondbacks are sticking with them because they have so much young talent. They're winning because of the rule changes. Because I would not want to have any of them on the base path.
Nope.
Like Jake McCarthy bats like 215, but steals second and third if he gets a single.
Who gives a shit if he gets singles? You turn him into triples. That's what Ichiro did.
Exactly. That's what the team looks like.
Luis Castillo.
Ketel Marte is looking better than most of the second basemen in the NL. So screw you, All-Star game. And Carroll's great. Christian Walker's been playing a lot hotter recently. You have Zach Gallen. Hopefully Merrill Kelly comes back soon. They need pitching. Diamondbacks need Marcus Stroman, or I would even take like Josiah Gray from the Nationals, because they just need to not have Zach Davies with an 8 ERA and Faft with a 9 ERA pitching every fourth and fifth day. It's not looking great for them right now with Merrill Kelly out. And if Kelly's out and Carroll's out, I'm worried. The Giants are clicking. Do the Padres turn things around at all? I'm going to say no. I don't think they're going to pull what they did last season and make the playoffs. I think Bob Melvin's going to get fired, and somebody needs to get benched to be taught a lesson.
A lot of
Well, I saw somebody said they should bench Soto, Machado, Bogarts, and Tatis to make a statement and be like, you all need to get your heads focused. That would be bold. That would be a bold statement. But
a lot of money on the bench. I don't think that's happening, Cotton.
that's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
They're too cocky to take messages, especially Manny Machado.
So let's see. Let's just say Tampa wins. I don't think it really matters who wins the AL Central. Nobody else is getting a wild card spot for this conversation. And let's say Houston wins. So Tampa's in the playoffs. Houston's in the playoffs. That leaves Baltimore, Texas, and right now Toronto with wild card spots. Baltimore is a few games ahead of everybody. And then it would be Texas, who has would be 2 games ahead of Toronto. And then Toronto right now has a game lead on the Yankees, through a 3-game lead on Boston. Boston is 3 games.
I think every single team in the AL East is making it.
They can't. Only 4 of them can. Because there's only 3 wild card spots.
Shitballs.
Boston's going to be the one team that doesn't make the playoffs out of that division.
A year that they actually perform like they're supposed to, and they don't make the playoff.
The Angels are 4 out. Technically, Cleveland's 4.5 out, and Seattle's 4.5 out. Everybody else is at least 10 games out. Who's getting those 3 wild card spots? Dave.
The 3 teams that you just named that currently have the positions were honestly the ones I had in mind. So the Orioles, the Rangers, and the Blue Jays.
Yep.
I think those are going to be the teams that get it.
Yeah, if Judge is out longer, I don't think the Yankees are going to be able to click well enough to keep that. And Boston is the least talented team out of that division, yet still better than most of the AL somehow. Ethan, who's getting those 3 spots?
Judge is going to be out for a considerable amount of time. I'm just forecasting.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the team is ass. So they're going to get hopped by Boston. We're going to have the 3 wildcard teams. It's going to be Tampa, Toronto, and Boston.
Interesting. I do think Tampa's going to win that division, so I say Baltimore easy gets a wild card spot. They'll have that comfortably, I think. I think Texas will hold on to one. I think they've played too well this season, even though they're probably going to lose their division. And I really haven't heard anything about Judge coming back anytime soon. So I'm going with Toronto. And that's going to be... Here's a side question. Does Brian Cashman get fired after this season?
They put up with Aaron Boone for as long as they have.
Oh, and does Aaron Boone also get fired after this season?
Aaron Boone's going to get fired after the season. I don't think Cashman's going anywhere because he still makes the deals.
He has recently, though.
So.
That's the thing. I feel like he's resting on a lot of built up goodwill from decades of them, like the 90s and the 2000s. But like, I don't know. If your whole team collapses because of Judge not being there, you're not that good of a team. And
No.
that's a problem. And they need to do something about it. And here's the thing, I don't think they're gonna get anybody of substantial stature at the trade deadline. I think they're gonna lose out. And their Cashman's not gonna budge, and they're not gonna get anybody, and it's gonna look bad. NL. So as of right now, Miami has the first spot. They're a half game ahead of the Dodgers for the second spot. The Phillies have the third spot right now. San Francisco's a game out. Milwaukee's a game and a half out. So Milwaukee, realistically, let's say Dodgers, Diamondbacks could switch out. Milwaukee and Cincinnati can switch out. Then there's a drop. Chicago, the Mets, and the Padres are all 7 games out of the wild card. And then Pittsburgh's 8, and then everybody else is at least 10 games out, which is literally only 3 teams. So Dave, who's getting these 3 wild card spots?
I'm gonna go with the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and the Marlins. I feel like the Marlins are probably the biggest question mark, even though I think they have the top spot right now, like you said.
Yeah,
But
they have 51 wins.
yeah, so I
So-
like that. That's like weird to see with the Marlins because everyone. I think a lot of people figured it would be another year of 3 teams in the East fighting for it, but the Mets being that third team instead of
Yes.
Miami, which
Yeah, I don't think
obviously
anybody
is not the
predicted the
case.
Marlins.
Usually the Mets hang on longer and then they crash and burn. So I feel like, Miami, it's hard to say if they're going to be able to hang on with as much success as they did in the first half, but I feel like they at least will do enough that they can get a spot, especially with there being 3 wild card spots nowadays. It just opens up the door for a team like that to be able to still make it in.
Well, and they made the playoffs in that shortened 2020 season because of nonsense and the Phillies collapsing at the last second. Ethan, who's getting 3 spots?
Is it my turn?
Yep.
Sorry. All right. I think the 3 wild card spots, it's going to be Phillies, Dodgers, and it's probably going to be the Marlins.
I predict, since I do think the Dodgers are going to wind up winning the division, I do think the Diamondbacks take a wild card spot. Phillies, I think, are definitely getting a wild card spot. I think San Francisco is going to pass the Marlins. I just don't know if the Marlins are going to stick out because as of right now, they looked bad against the Braves, first off. And then the Phillies just shocked them in the 9th inning and walked them all, won late in the game on that. And I don't know. I just don't see the Marlins sustaining, and I think the Brewers are going to fall off, like I said earlier. So I think we all are in agreement that the Phillies are definitely getting it, and either the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks, and then you both said Marlins, and I think San Francisco might squeak in. So there's only a few, if you're looking at all these teams, the only team who's doing really well right now, competing for the wild card, is the Phillies. Everybody else is playing mediocre or bad right now, which is interesting. And then basically the only teams in the NL that are playing really well are the Braves, the Reds, and the Phillies. NL's not looking great right now. Not looking so hot. And somehow the AL looks worse. Houston's the only team in their last 10 games to have more than 6 wins in the AL. Everybody's just beating up everybody right now. Interesting. The last 3 months are going to be very interesting. So we have our 7 teams. So those are what we think the divisions are going to be looking like in the playoff spots. As of right now, quick prediction. Who's going to the World Series and who's winning? Even.
Phillies are rematching Houston, and the Phillies are getting them this time.
Dave.
I will go with the Phillies winning over the Rangers.
And I'm going to be the only one to not pick the Phillies. I think the Braves are going to beat the Rays in the World Series. And we're going to have to look back in November and see how this all turned out. But we'll be back at the end of the season to do a pre-playoffs episode too, see how this all turned out for everybody. MVPs. So I think...
Do we even have to talk about the American League?
Well, do we even need to talk about the NL either? So American League, 1, 2, 3.
Ohtani-san.
Yep, Ohtani.
So, unless he gets hurt, he's winning the MVP, or he gets traded to the NL. If he gets traded to the National League, who's winning MVP? I think that's an interesting question because I have no idea. Because taking a look at stats,
I don't know, Judge. Fucking, he is the
and that's
Yankees.
big. Judge is hurt too.
He's the Yankees, to be fair.
What's crazy is out of the top 8 OPS in the league in Major League Baseball, Ohtani's the only AL player.
Wow.
It's Acuna, Freeman, Olsen, Betts, Carroll, Soto, Arise. Like,
it's going to be an all-star game, maybe.
I guess maybe the NL might actually win this year.
We shall
for once. Yandy Diaz is batting .316, 12 homers, 39 RBIs, and 904 OPS. Jose Ramirez is .290, 14 home runs, 53 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, and 873 OPS. Trout. Trout has the 4th best OPS in the American League.
And he's having a down year.
Aldis Garcia, he's batting .264, but he has 23 home runs, 73 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, and an 857 OPS. Randy Arozarena, 278, 16 homers, 58 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, 855. I'm going to say, I would probably say maybe if the Guardians do make the playoffs, Ramirez wins the MVP if Ohtani gets traded to the National League. Because that's the only way he's not winning this MVP, to be frank, at this point. NL. I'm assuming we're all on the same page on this one too, maybe?
There's a caveat to this one.
What?
For me. If he hits 400, he better be the fucking MVP. Because no one has done that since Ted Williams.
Do you think the Marlins making the playoffs or not going to make a difference there?
No. He is so close. He's hit. Well, after this game, it's a little bit lower, but he started at 380.
He's batting .386 right now.
And that's going 1 for 4. If he does if he hits 400, he has to win the MVP.
I don't know.
400 hasn't happened since 1941.
Yeah, but Acuna's gonna have like a 40-70 season. He's gonna have like 40 home runs and 70 stolen bases.
400.
Dave, thoughts?
So before you said any of that, my thought process was it will go to a rise if the Marlins make the playoffs.
That's fair.
I
But
just
400 is absurd.
I just don't think they're going to give it to them. And especially because today people care more about OPS
He
than
has
batting
a pretty
average.
decent OPS, though. I mean, on base percentage is like it's like 430 something, which
But
is he
the
doesn't walk a
crazy
lot,
thing
but he
is
doesn't strike out a lot either.
I think last time I saw he had like 28 swing and misses this whole season. That's crazy.
He did. I think he swung and missed to strike out his first at bat. So
What's crazy is he has the 7th best OPS in the National League. This National League is insane. Like, if Acuna wasn't so insane with his stats right now, you can make an argument for Freddie Freeman. You can make an argument for Matt Olson. You can make an argument like
there's a lot of guys that can get it.
Yeah,
however,
nobody's going to make it.
Acuna is going to get hurt again. He's going to be on the shelf forever. So that's
don't you say that? I can't afford to lose him on my fantasy team.
Well, the Phillies can afford him to be out for a long time.
Fair.
So, sorry about your fantasy team, but I have 4 guys on the IL that I could be using right now. Well, I can't have them on the IL. I have 5 in 3 spots.
I've had 3 players on the IL for like the whole season. And
that's what I'm looking like right now.
Terrible. Braves set first half home run record in win against Rays. Insane.
Yeah,
They've had the most home runs out of any team ever before the All-Star break.
They're stupid good, and it pains me to say it, but you have to give credit where credit is due. We're not ignorant here.
Yeah, so we're all going with Ohtani, and then we even had to have if Ohtani gets traded to an NL team, who would actually. That's really
he'll
sad.
win the MVP in the NL.
Huh?
He'll win the MVP in the NL. It's fine.
That would just complicate things so much more than they already are.
Well, if he does what he did at the first half, how can you not? At that point, give it to him.
Real quick, no discussion. He gets traded. Who's he getting traded to? Ethan.
This isn't easy. I know it's no discussion, but this is not an easy one because I don't know who has that capital.
The Mets, the Dodgers.
I don't want to manifest it, but the team that makes the most sense is the Mets because they're already fucked with luxury tax.
They don't care anymore.
Sure, they have plenty of players. They have plenty of players to give. Alonso can go. They have guys to give. Like, they have to give half the team to get them. But that's a team that makes sense. They already suck. You might as well get rid of the fucking guys. So
I think the only contenders are the Dodgers, the Giants, the Mets, and the Yankees seem to be the main contenders. So, Mets, Dave.
I'll go with the Dodgers.
Well, if that happens, they're definitely winning the at that point. I think the Giants. I think that's going to be an interesting thing, and then that's going to make things really interesting going down the stretch. I think the Giants will they'll put up half their team for Ohtani.
They don't have a team that's good enough for Ohtani.
They could make the playoffs.
Yeah, but
They're better than the Angels.
They don't have the star power.
Well, San Francisco has a very big Japanese market.
I'm aware, but they don't have the players, the star power to trade for him.
Oh, it would all have to be. They would have to sell their whole entire farm system.
Yeah, and give them a shitload of money.
Yep. Where are we? Cy Young, AL Cy Young.
Otani-san. It's going to happen.
Am I going to be the only one who's not going to give him the Cy Young?
Probably.
That's a tricky thing. There's a lot of good like Shane McClanahan. Like
That's fair.
Like, well, he did. If he's not injured too long, I think he's the front runner. Like, he has the overall. Like, obviously, Otani strikes out like a ridiculous amount of people.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, so many people have low ERAs now. Because who I was thinking is McClanahan or Evaldi, because Evaldi throws complete games.
Yeah.
Goes out there, has a 2.83 ERA. Like Sonny Gray has a 2.50 ERA, but barely pitches 5-6 innings and doesn't really put up impressive stats besides he doesn't give up a ton of runs.
If anybody has to win it, that's not Otani. It should be Evaldi.
Yeah, because he's 10-3, 2.83 ERA, 117 innings, 109 strikeouts, and a WHIP of a 1.02. Anybody giving Garrett Cole any love?
No.
He's 8-2, 2.79 ERA, 109 innings, 118 strikeouts. Where is Otani here? Otani is 22nd in ERA with a 3.32 ERA, a WHIP of a 1.1, has pitched 100 innings and has struck out 132 batters.
His Ks per 9 is insane.
Yep. He's not quite on Strider level.
No, no one is.
At this point. So I would say Evaldi. You both going Otani?
Yeah. I mean, the only other person that I think could get it if they don't, for whatever reason, give Otani is Evaldi, because, I mean, he deserves it. So
NL.
I thought somebody just called me. Who are you going with first?
Dave.
You know, I think I'll make you happy on Shane. I'm going to go with Zach Gallen.
If he were more consistent, he'd be an easy pick. But he's had some not so great games lately. I can't believe they lost that game to the Angels because he gave up a 3-run homer to Moniak.
Moniak.
Neither. Oh, really?
That hurt me.
Ethan?
It's hard to go away from him. My pick would have been Kershaw, but I don't know how long he's out for. So I'm going to default to Zach Gallen.
I was thinking either Gallen or Stroman. Stroman's been pitching really well.
I dropped his ass after like 3 starts.
The tricky thing is if he gets traded to an American League team, because he's 100% getting traded. I can't imagine him finishing the season.
He's worth a lot right now.
Gallen's ERA is at a 3.13. Merrill Kelly's is a 3.22. They're not too far ahead of Zach Eflin, which is interesting. The lowest ERA in the majors is Bryce Elder on the Braves. And then Framber Valdez on the
Houston
Astros. He's 7-6. They're not winning games when he's pitching. Not good, Houston. I'm just gonna keep it clean. I'm going with Gallen. Rookie of the year. Let's start with the NL and make this one easy. Because I'll be mad if you don't pick a certain somebody. Mullet power, Corbin Carroll for rookie of the year. He's an
I'm gonna
MVP.
make you. I'm gonna
MVP candidate.
I'm gonna make you unhappy, Shane. Ellie De La Cruz.
Ooh.
Come on. That dude's absurd.
Well, what are his actual stats?
There.
That
Like
that's
265. I don't know how many dingers he has. But all that, it's halfway through the season though.
he's really fast, but that's my main thing. Like, does he actually have the stats to like?
I think he will at the end of the season.
Like, I know he had like 10 stolen bases in his first 25 games. Because I'm a little surprised he didn't have more, seeing as like he could take like 3 steps and be on second base.
Well, it's hard to do when
well, he is
you
batting
hit.
.328, 4 homers, 15 RBIs, and OPS of .911. I don't know if he'll qualify though. Will he?
He's gonna have played more than half the season.
I don't know what the rules are. So like
I don't know the at bats either, but this is his rookie season if he plays throughout the rest of the season.
fine. If he doesn't qualify, it's an easy decision. Corbin Carroll's definitely winning the rookie of the year.
You can have your mullet.
He
Yeah.
looks so gross.
He just better not be out that long, dude.
Well, that's the
kills
thing
everything.
too. If he winds, I'm
'Cause
afraid
that
that's going to be the end of the season because like that looked bad, and that's the
That's a
second
freaking
time he's hurt
labrum.
that shoulder in 5 games.
If he has like a torn labrum or something, he's fucked.
It says he's in the lineup tonight.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Shane.
I don't think that's smart.
No, it's the dumbest thing. You
Yeah,
could
I
possibly
would sit him
Sit
for at
that
least
kid-
one game.
Sit,
I know they're in
Sit
first
him.
place.
fit
And
him through the rest of the rest of the games through the All-Star break, and hopefully it gets better. That's the dumbest fucking thing you like.
It's one series. Don't sacrifice him. Tori, what are you doing?
Horrible idea. It's not just him that sets the lineups. A lot of front office guys have to do with that too. Unfortunately, in today's game,
Well, he really should be sitting.
he should throughout the All-Star break. That's what should happen.
But, well, yeah, he is in the lineup. And I think he's batting right now. Or no. No, he got out his first at bat, it looks like. And Gallen's pitching. He's pitched 2 shutout innings, 2 Ks so far. AL.
I don't know if Gunnar Henderson is considered a rookie or not.
I think he is.
Because he's my guy. If he's actually considered a rookie.
He is.
Yeah. So that's my pick.
Gunnar Henderson.
I don't have to think about that at all.
Yeah, especially after how he spanked the Yankees yesterday.
He got me 18 points, I think, yesterday.
Wow, he is not the front runner, odds-wise. It looks like Josh Young of the Rangers, and then Yoshida is second.
Oh, I keep forgetting these dudes are considered rookies. Masataka Yoshida.
Yeah, and then Esturi Ruiz, that guy that is probably going to have like 50 stolen bases by the All-Star break.
I'm still sticking with Gunner. Sticking to my gun, Shane.
There you go. I want to look what Josh Young's stats are. Because is he the starting third baseman for the All-Star game?
Yeah, he is a starter.
Banged 274, 17 home runs, 53 RBIs, and an 809 OPS. I want to pull up Gunnar Henderson's.
If Gunnar doesn't win it, Yoshida has to win that, dude. He gets hits every freaking game. Almost.
The thing is, Henderson's batting 244, 13 home runs, 35 RBIs, 800 OPS. So every major stat, he's under Young.
It's okay. Young's gonna tear his ACL and he's done for the year.
Ethan,
I'm still sticking with
bad
Gunnar.
vibes here on Wasteland Talks. And then
I need to win my picks.
Yoshida's batting 312, 9 homers, 42 RBIs, and an 859 OPS. So, like, he has the average in the OPS and good RBIs. He just doesn't have as much pop. And he has 4 stolen bases. Who are you going with, Dave?
I think I'm gonna go with Young. I feel like Yoshida might be more deserving of it, but I feel like there's gonna be more buzz around Young just because of what the Rangers are doing this year, the fact that he's starting in the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, all that hype is just gonna help him.
I think Young has the bigger stats, so I think they'll go with that, go with him. But we'll have to see. Now, to wrap things up, do we have any other thoughts or anything that we want to throw out there about the season overall?
Yeah,
About particular players?
I'd like to mention the pitch clock. I was gonna say, just the fact that it's like seems to be really screwing with some pitchers this year.
Manoa.
Yep, that's a primetime example.
Scherzer and Verlander, I think, are a little old and need to make some adjustments. Do you think Nola got affected by it?
Yes, 100%. He does
At
not.
least he's settling in, halfway into the season.
Ish.
He looked real nice that last start. 12
Yeah, against Eflin, yeah, he did. But that's not a story of the whole season.
It sure isn't.
He's looked like ass.
Wheeler, I think, has been affected.
He's also not a quick guy.
I noticed Gallen takes his card out a lot. Like the card that he has in his back pocket with stuff. I think it's affected him on some level because he has some games where he just looks really bad. Even though
timing. Fucks up your timing.
Mm-hmm. Are we enjoying them? So, like, that Red Sox game I went to lasted 2 hours and 10 minutes.
No. I want to be up till 1 o'clock in the morning watching baseball because I want to watch baseball. I don't want to watch a 2-hour game.
It's crazy. Well, the Phillies game yesterday.
Well, when you score a shitload of runs and stuff, that also makes games longer, but
one of those Phillies Rays games lasted like 2 hours.
Yeah. It was probably the Nola versus
it was the Eflin Nola game because I was watching that.
Dealing.
And I'm just like, holy crap.
They were both dealing that game.
Both Phillies games I went to this year certainly weren't under 3 hours. They're also both very ugly. That was some like grade A ugly Phillies baseball.
Yeah. That's like the other side of the equation too with like the game lengths is like those ones that even with the pitch clock are long. Like imagine how long those would be like last season.
I don't want any more 5-hour Yankees Red Sox games ever again. So no thank you.
I feel like the ideal length of a baseball game is around 3 hours.
I'm cool with 3 hours. It's just hard to get that now unless you're hitting like crazy.
Like I was watching that Marlins Cardinals game where they won like 18-4. It's a massacre. Because they put a decent amount of games on ESPN Plus, and I have it in my Hulu account.
Yeah, it's nice that that's on there.
And then you get the 11 a.m. Sunday baseball on Peacock, which
I
is
just have MLB.TV, so I get to watch whatever the hell I want to.
there you go.
Essentially.
Nice.
I predict that Apple's going to buy the rights to all games, and they're going to have the same thing that they do with MLS and sell you like a flat rate, and then you can watch any game all you want the whole entire season, courtesy of Apple. No blackouts.
Well, blackouts would be nice. Not to not have.
Well, that's the thing. They would have all the rights to every single game. No local networks or anything.
I'd pay for it.
I'd pay for it too.
Take
Then
my
I
money.
could actually watch Diamondbacks games. Like that'd be nice.
You can watch them.
I already have
Well,
Apple. I already have Apple. So, let's see. This is going to sound mean, but I just want to mention one particular player on the Phillies. God, I hope Bryce Harper is better next year so he can be in the field. And maybe we don't have to watch Kyle Schwarber in the outfield ever again. Because
Yes, please.
it kills me watching him try to run down a ball, the fact that he can't bend over and pick up a ball. He could throw it. Once ball in hand, then he could do his job. But watching ball get into hand is just sad. And I hate it.
I don't disagree with you. It's incredibly painful to watch because you have seen a lot of games go south because of that shit. I'll give one thing up to Castellanos. He has worked tirelessly.
He looked great out there, to be honest. He actually looks like a starting right fielder.
Yep.
I wonder if they'll switch him to left field.
They would have to.
That's what I think.
You need your best arm in right field.
So, well, is Harper's arm going to be the best arm?
So, I don't.
After all of this,
after this season, if they don't put him in the field other than first base,
I hope
it's going to be fine.
Here's the hope. I just don't want to see I want Schwarber being a DH as he should be, and that's it. I don't want to watch. I did not wish Rhys Hoskins getting injured, but if I had to watch him and Schwarber play every day, I think I'd vomit.
Remember when Hoskins was the left fielder?
Yep. Gabe Kapler, you're a fucking genius.
At least the only thing I could say about that situation is he can move better than Schwarber. But he definitely is not an outfielder.
Yeah.
Just imagine putting me in left field. You don't want that. I could play the ball better. Like, I would like to think that I could, but I definitely am not mobile. That was the dumbest stuff back in, like, 13-year-old leagues. Like, just put all the biggest, slowest people in the outfield. They won't hit it out there much. Lulls. The amount of balls I had to run down in right field. They put me in right field, too. I don't even have a good arm. I'm a first baseman. I don't have to throw shit. So, plot me at first base. I could catch the ball. And that's it. That's the beauty of baseball, is that people of all shapes and sizes can play baseball. So, sorry, Schwarber. I just wanted to get that off my chest. I do have to say, it's been super exciting. The main thing that I'm super excited about the rule changes is that there's certain teams that are competing because of it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I
The
love
Reds, the Diamondbacks. Very biased, but like it's like night and day compared to last year watching the Diamondbacks play. And obviously they brought up people like Carroll and they even called somebody else up today because they had to make some roster moves. Some of their pitchers have been looking really good too, like Tommy Henry, Dre Jameson. And it's like really awesome watching some of those players play. It's been an interesting season. The schedule change is definitely showing because they're allowing certain divisions just to decimate people. AL East. That wouldn't be happening if they were all playing each other more.
True. I like that teams aren't playing each other more.
I do too. It's just putting a really big spotlight on certain divisions that suck.
Yeah.
And
It's to make them have to spend money.
well, that's the thing. That's the biggest thing that needs to change in baseball is all the billionaire, millionaire owners that are sitting on money and not actually trying to make their teams better. Need to start actually making their teams better, making it more competitive because it's ugly. The AL Central looks like a minor league division. Like, that's sad. Like, how do you have a whole entire division below, almost below 500? That
I'd put
happened.
LSU up against every single one of those teams in that division.
Like, I remember the NL West did one year. The San Diego Padres won the division being like one game over 500 and made the playoffs back when there were still only 4 teams that made the playoffs. They got decimated and swept, I think, by the Cardinals, who won their division. It's just ugly. But I do like the 3 wild card spots. It makes things a lot more interesting. This season's going to be really interesting going down the stretch. There's definitely been some players that are atrocious. Jose Abreu. Like, what the hell happened to him? And it just makes me feel good watching the Padres. Absolutely. I'm John Lovitz from Wedding Singer. They've completely lost their minds and I'm reaping all the benefits. Curtain close. And it's also been nice watching the Phillies too. Since they are the team I get to watch the most. And poor Mets, I just feel bad for them at this point. Like, how much money did they spend? And not looking great. And that's coming from me, who the Mets just swept the Diamondbacks. I think that was the first time the Diamondbacks got shut out this whole season was yesterday. They lost 9-0 to the Mets.
Poor Shane.
Corbin Carroll didn't get hurt. He would have squeaked a run in the game. That seems to be what's been happening. Any closing thoughts?
I got one.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how the rule changes helped teams that weren't competing. And then you got teams like the Braves who have transcended their output because of it. When you got history made by Ronald Acuna, it's pretty cool to see. It sucks that they happen to be in the Phillies division, but it also is helping the Phillies considerably. I can't tell you how much the small ball that's back in baseball is helping the Phillies because
love it.
Without all the stealing and bunts making sense and just advancing runners, the Phillies wouldn't be where they are right now. So
I'm so happy that people are stealing bases, playing small ball again, because baseball was getting ugly. Like, oh, you hit home runs and then nothing else.
Yeah,
batting 200 and nothing. How about you, Dave? Anything you want to add?
I think another cool thing about, with the way they changed the schedule so all the teams play each other is it also makes fantasy baseball more interesting because a lot of times, you're drafting guys and you might not really know them from watching. Like you might know, like, oh, that's a good player. I've seen them mentioned before because they have good stats, sort of thing. But now a lot more of those guys you actually get to watch play at some point. So, it's kind of cool just being able to like put a face to a name And it also, even for future seasons, you can be like, oh, I saw that guy when they were playing my team this year. They were pretty cool. Maybe I'll draft them next year. Or, I just think it's cool that it raises awareness for other teams around the league. Whereas in the past, when you faced just the same division so much, it was kind of hard to keep track of what was going on in the rest of the league.
Well, and I think a nice thing too on top of that is the AL has all the players that are attractions. Judge, Otani, Trout. What you see them every 3 years. And
Now
every
you-
6 years you have them come play you. Now, like you actually
play
get to
them
see
every year.
Otani show up at Citizens Bank Park. And that the Phillies Dodgers series that they had last month sold out. The whole damn series. So like it's exciting being able to see something like that. Was a nice moment seeing Eflin versus Nola and getting to play everybody. It also means everybody gets to play the Royals and the Athletics. Except for that 2-week streak where you didn't want to play the Athletics.
Tampa.
That was bad. They're embarrassing people. But yeah, so that's our mid-season check-in. So we'll be back again at the end of September, going into October, to look at things going into the playoffs. And we'll have to see how these last 3 months turn out, because this has been a crazy season. But Ethan, Dave, thank you both for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
And a little shout out to the wee man who hates the Tigers, hates the Yankees, loves his Bryce Harp. And thank all of you out there for tuning in and always supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.